Hey there, my yogi friend. Thank you so much for joining me here on my YouTube channel. This is going to be a yin yoga practice that's all about winding down. So if you feel like you've had a long day, then this is the class for you to reset and transition into a little bit of relaxation. I did this practice the other day when I was feeling like I had a really long day, I was overworked, and I felt like I just couldn't go on. And it felt great. So I am really excited to share this class with you. I hope you enjoy. You may want to have 2 blocks and a blanket or a bolster for this practice. If you don't have either of these props, that's perfectly fine. You can replace the blocks with some books and you can just use some pillows. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off in our supported fish pose. So you're going to want to set up your blocks or your bolster at the top of your mat. I like to use the middle height, but you may play around with your blocks and see whichever setting is the best for you. You might start off at the lowest setting. If that feels like it's not enough, move up to the higher setting. One block is going to go at the bottom part of your shoulder blades, and you can either take it horizontally or vertically, whichever floats your boat. And the other block will be for your head. So make your way down, leaving a little bit of space away from your hips from the block. Once again, making sure that that bottom block comes to the bottom part of your shoulder blades and not on your lower back. Rest your head on the top block. Arms can come out to a T. And then I like to bring the soles of my feet together with my knees out nice and wide. If that feels comfortable for you, please feel free to join me. Otherwise, you can extend your legs out in front of you, or you can have the soles of your feet on the mat with your knees bent. So take a moment to find your variation of this pose. Don't worry what it looks like. Find something that feels good, something that will allow you to relax in this shape for the next few minutes. We're going to be doing some of these poses for longer holds than I normally offer. If this feels too long for you, you can always come out of the pose and make your way back in when you feel ready. Let your whole body soften over your props, letting your body feel weighted and supported by the ground beneath you. Take a deep breath in and exhale it out. Arriving here onto your mat, arriving into this moment of stillness, this moment that's just for you. There's nothing more you have to do today, nothing more that you need to figure out. So give yourself permission to soften, release some of the tension. Very gently begin to make your way out of this shape. Bring your hands behind your head, take your chin towards your chest, come on to your elbows to press yourself up, and go ahead and remove your props off to the side and make your way up into a seat. We're going to come into caterpillar pose, and this one has a couple of variations as well. So start off by extending your legs out in front of you. Now, if this position makes you dump a lot of your weight into the lower back, you can slide a rolled up blanket underneath or sit up on top of a pillow to hinge forward a little bit further. It can also be nice here to place a blanket right underneath your knees so that your legs are not completely straight. So you might play around with that. And we're going to be folding forward here, so you can let the back round. If this feels like a lot right here, just use your hands behind you. This could be enough just to come here into this shape. If you are folding forward, you can either let your forearms rest on the ground or on a pair of blocks at any height. And it can also feel really nice to place a block right underneath your forehead at any height. So once you've found your variation of this pose, let your shoulders soften. Soften through the back of your legs. Release any tension in the lower back, in the neck. Soften your face and your jaw. Allow your body to slip into this gentle surrender. Very gently press into your hands to lift yourself back up. Go ahead and remove whatever props you're using off to the side. And then make your way onto all fours. We're going to take a melting heart pose. And it might feel nice, especially if you have sensitive knees, to just pad your knees up since we'll be here for a little while. Bring your hips above your knees. And then what I like to do is place the blocks at the top of the mat, kind of pointing outwards. And you can play around with the height here. When you melt your heart down towards the mat, you can rest your forearms on these blocks, resting your fingers down, letting your chest and forehead go down towards the floor. You can also do this without these blocks and just have your arms extending out in front of you. You might even come into a variation that's going to get a little bit of a different stretch, which is to take your elbows down to those blocks or to the floor and your palms up overhead. And once again, letting your heart melt down towards the mat. So take a moment here to find whatever variation would work for you today. And soften through the back of your neck and your shoulders. Notice if you're holding your belly and just let it drop. And if there's any other part of your body that you're holding, allow it to soften. And there's nothing more you need to hold right now. Allow yourself to be supported and held. Very gently begin to press yourself back up onto all fours. Go ahead and remove your props off to the side. And we're going to set up for our saddle pose here. So what I like to do, it's very similar to fish pose, but if you have a bolster, that can be really nice to just sit up at the top of your mat. Otherwise, you can use your blocks like I am here, and I think the middle height is usually pretty good. We don't want to go too intense into this pose. And then place that blanket on top to make it just a little bit softer. And you can play around here, so if the lower height is going to be better for you, which actually the lower height will make this a little bit more intense, so maybe even the higher height will be better here. Otherwise, you can Turn around, take your knees out nice and wide, and bring your big toes to touch. So we're just going to come into a sort of more simpler variation of this. If you prefer the deeper version of this, you can sit your hips in between your heels and take your heels out to your outer hips. This can be really intense for the quads, so if you'd like to come into the less intense version, take your knees out wide, big toes touching. You might even place a blanket underneath here if you feel like sitting down on top of your heels is a little too intense. And then from here, you're going to start to walk your hands back. This could already be enough for you right here. If this feels like enough, go ahead and stay right here. Otherwise, continue walking your hands back, maybe coming onto your forearms. And then here's where I like to lie down on top of that little structure I made with the blocks. So you might have to adjust here. You don't want the block in your lower back, so keep a little bit of space there. But again, it's very similar to our supported fish. And then you can let your arms come out to a T. Come back to your breath. Let your whole body soften. Notice the sensation through the quads, in the hips and the lower back. The opening of the chest. Very gently begin to press yourself up. Bring your hands behind your head, take your chin towards your chest, come up onto your elbows to press yourself up. And then go ahead and swing your legs around to the front, and you can remove your props off to the side. For our next posture, we're going to come into a happy baby. And to make this one really comfortable, if you have a wall nearby, it can be really nice to do this up against the wall. If you don't have a wall, you can just stay right here on your mat. Draw your knees into your chest, and then take them out to the side. And if this feels like enough, stay right here. Or you can take your hands to your shins, ankles, outer edges of your feet, or with your peace fingers, grab your big toes. Try to keep your tailbone rooted into the mat. And then let your feet and knees press down towards your armpits. If you are going to do this against the wall, You can scoot your hips all the way up to the wall. And then same as I mentioned earlier, take your knees out nice and wide. You can rest your feet here against the wall. And this way you don't even have to hold your feet. You can let your arms rest and take them out to the side. And this can be a nice way to hold this posture a little bit longer. So once you've found your variation, settle into your shape, resolve to come to stillness. Come back to observing your breath and noticing the sensations in your body, allowing yourself to be present here, fully present with whatever experience you're having. Very gently draw your knees back into your chest. And we're going to come right into a legs up the wall. Again, if you don't have a wall, you can still do this without it. So go ahead and extend your legs up towards the ceiling. If you are up against the wall, you can just rest your feet right there, take your arms out to a T. If you're on your mat with your legs just dangling in the air, that's perfectly fine too. You might also find it nice to place a block underneath your hips at any height. So just letting the blood come back down the legs. Coming back to a nice smooth breath in and out of your nose. Letting your whole body melt into this shape. Softening and relaxing. Slipping into that sense of relief that there is nothing else to do today but be here in this moment, shaking off whatever you've done today. Very slowly draw your knees back into your chest. And if you're up against the wall, you can slowly roll down onto your side and make your way back onto your mat. We're going to go ahead and take one more posture before sliding into Shavasana. Let your knees drop over to the left for your supine twist. Extend your right arm out to your side. If there's a big gap between the floor and your knees, you might place a block or pillow right underneath that bottom knee, or even just place something in between your thighs. That could be a nice way to make this a little bit more comfortable. Try to keep both shoulders on the mat. You can keep your gaze up towards the ceiling or over to the right. Soften into this shape, surrendering, allowing, and releasing whatever you've been holding on to from the day, whatever thoughts or whatever tension you might still be feeling in the body. Right now, it's okay to let it go. Let your body soften and transition into this relaxation. Very slowly draw your knees back up through center, bring them into your chest. Take a breath or two here. And gently let them fall over to the right. Once again, supporting your legs with any props, pillows, a block, whatever would make this shape a little more comfortable. Extend your left arm out to the side. Try to keep both shoulders on the mat. Come back to your breath. Slowly draw your knees back up into your chest and prepare to transition into your final relaxation. Extend your legs out for Shavasana. Let your arms come by your side. Soften through your shoulders. Let go of any last little bit of tension. Surrendering into this final moment of rest. If staying here in this Shavasana for a little bit longer would feel good, please go right ahead and do so. Otherwise, if you're ready to come out, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll over onto your side, curl up into a fetal position. And finally, press yourself up into a comfortable seat. Bring your hands to your knees or in front of your heart, pausing here for a moment to notice the effects of this practice. We'll close this practice with a breath together. Take a deep inhale. Exhale it out. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. I hope you're feeling a little bit more relaxed and like you've been able to reset your body to carry on with the rest of your day. If you enjoyed this class, please let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, and if you're not a subscriber yet, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified whenever I put out a new class. This will help me to continue putting out these free classes for you to enjoy. Thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.